Hello friends, welcome back to Learn Guide Tutorials. This is our fifth video in our Jenkins tutorial series, in which I'm going to talk about Jenkins plugin management. That will include what is Jenkins plugins, why should we use it, and how to choose a right plugin, how frequently we used to update the plugins, and is it really needed to update plugins or not, and how do we install plugins and how to configure it for the automation. Links related to this tutorial series and documents will be mentioned in the description. You can make use of it. These are the topics we are going to cover throughout this tutorial series. Also, we will add more topics in the future. Before getting into the topic, just a small request to those who are watching this video from our YouTube channel for the first time. We have already uploaded a lot of videos and tutorial series on Ansible, Docker, Kubernetes, and other technologies too. Please have a look. If you are interested in learning, then do subscribe now and click nearby bell icon for more interesting and useful videos. Let's get started. Let's quickly understand why Jenkins plugins are used. In Jenkins, most of the automations happens through plugins only. That is because these Jenkins plugins are used to extend the functionality of the Jenkins automation server that will help us to perform lot of automation things. Why? Because these plugins are like additional tools that will provide some additional options for you to specify or customize the feature and that supports specific tasks. Each plugin is designed for specific task or integration, such as building code, running testing, deploying applications, sending notifications, and more. For example, if you are integrating a Maven or Ansible or Docker, then you will install specific plugin for these specific tasks. In that case, the plugin you install specifically helping you for that specific task. For example, if you are going to use a Docker plugin, then that Docker plugin is specifically helping you to perform the specific Docker related task. So by adding the right plugins, you can make your Jenkins more powerful and efficient. These plugins saves you time and effort by automating repetitive tasks. For example, instead of manually compiling code using some commands, you can use these plugins to do it automatically whenever there is a code change. Then consistency. These plugins ensure that the tasks are performed consistently and according to your configuration. This consistency is crucial for maintaining the quality and reliability of your automation. Then flexibility. These plugins allow you to adapt Jenkins to a specific workflow and you are not limited to one solution. Then integration. Jenkins can be integrated with lot of tools, services and platforms through these plugins. For example, if you want to connect to a Jenkins with your version control system, then you can go for some source code management plugins like Git, Bitbucket, and so on. So Jenkins is a centralized tool, but with the help of these plugins, you will be able to integrate lot of services. Then monitoring. Some plugins that allows you to monitor the health and performance of your Jenkins instance and that will provide some insights of your build status, deployments, and that will help you to identify and address the issues more quickly. Then security. Security related plugins that will help you to enhance the protection of your Jenkins server and some security scanning. And finally, reporting. Plugins can generate detailed report of your automations on various aspects of your projects, such as code quality, test results, build history. These reports are valuable for tracking progress and making some informed decisions. In simple terms, Jenkins plugins are an additional tool you can add it to your Jenkins server to build the automation and CI/CD pipelines that suits your need. Let's quickly go through some of the plugins we mostly use for CI/CD automations. So here I have consolidated the plugin names along with the categories. For example, for source code management, you have some plugins called Git plugin, SVN plugin, and Mercurial plugin. These plugins will help you perform some specific task like fetching the changes from your remote repository, and based on that you can perform some task. And for build and compilation, we have Maven, Gradle, Ant. And for containerization, we have set of plugins that are Docker plugin, Kubernetes plugin, OpenShift plugin. You can choose any of these plugins if you have a containerized environment to perform the task. And for Artifactory management, you have Artifactory plugin, Nexus Repository Manager. And for static code analysis, you have Checkstyle plugin, Findbugs, and SonarQube. And for test automation, you have JUnit, TestNG, and Selenium. For CI/CD, we have Pipeline plugin, Blue Ocean plugin, Delivery Pipeline plugins. And for notification reporting, we have email extension plugins, and we have Slack notifications, and we have a HTML publisher plugin. Also, we have a plugin for security and authentication, Matrix authorization strategy plugin, and we have Active Directory plugin and GitHub authentication plugin. So for monitoring and metrics, we have Prometheus and Influx DB plugin. And for cloud integration, we have Amazon EC2 plugin, Google Cloud Compute Engine, and Azure VM Agent plugins. For performance testing, we have JMeter and Load Runner. For version control and issue tracking, we have Bitbucket plugin and Jira plugin. For deployment release management, we have deployed the container plugin, you have a release plugin, and if you are going to deploy your application using some Ansible or Chef, then you can use those plugins as well. So you have a lot of plugins that will support to perform such tasks. And for workflow and orchestration, we have Pipeline DSL and Buildflow plugins. So these are just a few examples of plugins. You have lot of Jenkins plugins available in the market. So let's see how to find the right plugins. So there is a website of Jenkins called plugins.jenkins.io where you can find all your plugins. Already it has 1800 plus plugins to support your task. Let's quickly see how we manage our plugins. So this is my Jenkins console. Already I have logged in with my DevOps admin, and here on the left side you can see the option called Manage Jenkins, and if you scroll down there will be an option called Plugins under System Configuration. Just click on this. Okay, this is the main page of plugins where you can see options called Updates, Available Plugins, Installed Plugins, Advanced Settings. Let me first go to this Advanced Settings. Here you have some limited options. If your organization is behind some HTTP proxy, then you can configure your proxy information over here so that you can install your plugins as per your need. Now, you will have other three options, that is updates, available plugins, installed plugins. On this installed plugins, you will see the list of plugins that is already installed on your Jenkins. Here you can see the list of plugins are available over here, and you can enable and disable it, and you can remove it. There are few plugins that cannot be removed, or that might be a dependency of other plugins. Now on this available plugins, you can see all the available plugins from the official plugins website. So on this box you can search your plugins. For example, if I'm going to create a new job for my automation, something like I want to build my Docker image and I want to push my Docker image to my repository, then I would need a Docker plugin. In that case, you can come to this option and search for the Docker. Here, we need to find the right plugin. Here you can see the name of the plugin and the category of it and the description along with when it is released. So how we decide the right plugin? So what you have to do is you need to know the complete information about the plugin. So here on this name, just right click and open link in new tab. It will take you to the official Jenkins plugin page. Similarly, you can do this for all the plugins. You need to explore a lot of plugins, then only you'll be familiar with all of this. Okay, so I have opened all these plugins informations, and this is a Docker, and this is a Docker Commons, and this is a Docker pipeline. All these links I have opened directly from the Jenkins console. Now, we need to go through this document when it is released, how often they provide the update, and is it a trusted one, and what are the options it provides. On some cases, the option we are looking for will not be available on some specific plugin, but the same option will be available in different plugins. So you need to explore all these plugins and we need to decide based on that. So here you can see all these overviews and the configuration steps. Since it is a Docker, so there is a set of basic configuration for Docker, right? So if you want to integrate any plugins, then at least you should have a basic knowledge on it. So if you want to do something on Docker, then you should have some basic knowledge on what is Docker, how do we build the Docker image, how do we push it, all these things. Okay, this is how we configure the Docker options, Docker daemons, and how do we configure it. If you install these plugins, these options will be enabled. Till then, these options will not be available for your Jenkins. You can get all these informations over here. Let me go to the other one, Docker Commons, and this is a summary of this plugins. And this is a Docker build step plugin. This plugin will help you to perform all these tasks. You can commit changes in a specific container. You can create new container from an image, create image, a lot of things. You can pull image from a repository. You can push image to a repository, remove containers, remove all containers. So it has a lot of things. So I think this is the right plugin for me to perform that task. So I'm going to use this one. All right, this is how we choose a plugin. First, let me try with this plugin for my task. And here it supports build variables. And in order to configure, you need to set a Docker URL first. And for and for Docker pull, you can use these options to define your values like image, repository, tags, credentials. And for Docker push, you have to put all these values. Plugins will provide you uh, an option to configure in the form based. So it will be easy for you to just go through the description and you can put the values that you required. So I am okay with this plugin called Docker build step. So let me select that one. Similarly, you can go for other plugins as well. If you want to install Ansible plugins, if you want to integrate Ant, Maven, you can follow the same. Now, after you have selected all the plugins you want to integrate, now here you will have an option called install. Just click on it. So this will do a small preparation, like it will check proxy or internet connectivity statuses, and if that is success, then it will start installing all the different plugins as well. These are just an options. If you enable this option, it will restart the Jenkins after this installation is completed. All right, all these are success. Now again go to plugins. Now if you go to installed plugins, I can see the Docker build step. I have installed only this one, but additionally these Docker common plugins and API plugins are installed as a dependency. So we have gone through advanced settings, installed plugins and available plugins. And what will be there in the updates? Since we use these plugins from the community, we will have more updates, features and security related threats. So updating Jenkins plugin is also an important task to ensure that we have latest features, bug fixes and security updates. On these updates options, you can see all the updates available at the moment. And this is the version it is installed. You can go through this, and if you want to install everything, you can select all these options and you can update it. Or if you want to do specific update for a specific plugins, then you can just select that specific plugins and click on update. Okay, so how often we need to update our plugins? The frequency of updating plugins depends on several factors: the nature of the plugin and severity of the impact. If it is a security related vulnerability, then we have to update our system as soon as possible. If it is just a new feature update, then it's up to us to decide when to update that if you really want that feature. And if it is a compatibility related update, yes, your task may not work properly because of the incompatibility. On that case, we need to update our updates. If you have a bug fix or stability related updates, obviously it is also considered as a high impact. On that case, we need to update our plugins. Let me quickly create a job for my task, that is building a Docker image and pushing my new Docker image to my image repository. Application name is bus app and it is a free sale project. Click on OK. Okay, now since it is a Docker image build, obviously I will have my code on some repository, and also I will have some Docker file, right? Obviously to build a Docker image. So I need to define all these things. So this is my GitHub account. This is the code repository I'm going to use so that my code will be fetched into my Jenkins first. Then it will build a Docker image using this Docker file. So this is the first step for our Docker image build. Once the Docker image is built, then I need to push my Docker image to my image repository. For that, I use Docker Hub. This is the repository I'm going to use it for my Docker image push. All right. So let me copy my repository. On this source code management, I'm going to select Git. This repository, I'm going to use my repository. And for credential, I will use my credential. Already I have added my credential over here. And which branch I need to use? Develop branch. All right. So this is for source code management. And build triggers. As of now, I'm going to manually trigger. So I will not choose any other options. And this is a build environment. On this, I will use only delete workspace before build start. So I'll have a fresh workspace. Okay, this is actual build step where we are going to perform the task. First step, I will use execute shell. Just put ls star so that before building my image, it will list all the files that are available in the workspace. All right. Next step, I'm going to use a Docker plugin. So we have installed a plugin called Docker build step. That plugin has enabled a functionality with this options on this build step, execute Docker command. So once you have selected, you have a more option in the pull down. Here you can choose the option based on your need. First, I need to build an image for my task. Here I'm going to use create build image. Once you have selected, you will have an option to define values for that specific task. So where is your Docker file? My Docker file is not under my workspace slash Docker. It will be directly under workspace because first it will fetch my remote repository. On the parent folder itself, my Docker file is there. It is not inside any of my folders. So I use directly the workspace and build number. We can see all these parameters built in the next section. For now, I will use 3.1. This will be my Docker image version. There will be an advanced option. You can, if you want to customize anything, then yes, obviously you can go through all these options. All right. The file name of my Docker file is not this one. It is a smaller case. Okay. So this is a step we have defined only for building the image. I need to add one more step to push my image to my image repository. Again, I will go with execute Docker command. Here I will select push image. Now it will ask you again the repository where you want to push the image. So here you can copy the Docker Hub repository and the tag 3.1. I will use the same one. So my Docker image will be built with the tag called 3.1 and the same will be pushed to image repository. And if you want to define your registry URLs, then yes, you can use it. Here I have not added my Docker Hub credential. I'm going to add it now. And let it be username with password. Provide your Docker Hub username and password and give some easily readable name ID over here. Okay, now if you click on it, you can see since I have provided the meaningful name Docker Hub, I can easily identify what credential it is. Okay, now on post build action, I don't want to perform anything, so I will leave it as and just click on apply and save. Before I trigger my build, I need to inform you that any plugin you install on top of your Jenkins, we need to do some set of configuration. Some plugins will not need much configuration, but some services will be needed. For example, Docker is a service level tool. So you need to install a Docker command, you need to start the service, then only you will be able to build the Docker image. All these things will be a part of Docker installation and configuration. If not, you will end up some issues. Before configuring anything, you have just installed a plugin. Let's trigger the build. Once I have triggered it, the initial job has triggered. Just click on this, go to console output. Here you can go through all these tasks. So the SEM step is done, and here the ls star has executed because that is the first step I have used using execute shell. I have put ls star, so it is listing all the files. So there is no problem with my SEM fetch. Alright, now the error is build step failed with exception URI was not specified. So this is what I was telling. Jenkins is not able to identify your Docker services. For this, we need to configure the Docker as an initial setup. So this is my Jenkins server. First, I don't have a Docker command at all. Let's install the Docker and do a basic configuration. Okay, so we have installed Docker. So I'm able to see the Docker command, but the normal users will not be able to run this Docker image. Only admin user would be able to perform any Docker image, Docker related commands. Since I am logged into a user called Selva, not on Jenkins. So let me switch over to Jenkins because I need to provide access to the user called Jenkins. Now open a group file, or you can use user mode command to add your Jenkins user to the group called Docker. And if you're confident and sure about editing the files, then open this group file and search for Docker group and add your user. Now if you use Jenkins, well, Jenkins will be part of Docker group. Now if you run Docker image, so let me open one more configuration file. And this is the service file where we need to add one more entry on this execute start -h and the socket name. If not, you will end up with more errors. Okay, I just saved the file and I'm going to restart my Docker and Jenkins. Before restarting Docker, let me run systemctl daemon reload. Then restart the Docker again. Now restart Jenkins. Okay. Now let's go to Jenkins console. And here, since I have restarted my Jenkins, I need to log in again. Go to manage Jenkins. Here under system, we need to define our Docker host. So here on this system, if you search for Docker, there will be an option to specify your Docker host. Here you need to specify your localhost socket. This is why I have added this socket. Once you have added, you can click on test connection. So now it is connected to the socket. You click on save. Now go back to our jobs that we have created recently and click on build now. And it has started. So let me open the console output. So it is listing all the files. Now it should go to the Docker image build stage. So the Docker first step has started. Jenkins is able to connect with the Docker daemon so that it is able to build the image. Now we are end up with an error while pushing the image. That is because the tag doesn't exist, which means the tag we have mentioned is not right. Let me click on configure job and go through the option. So the problem is here I need to specify the Docker image as well. I didn't mention it. These plugins will help you to configure your values in the form based. So we need to define the proper values. Let me re-trigger the build and click on the console output. Now again we are end up with a new error. This is not related to tag but the issue with the access. So now again go back to the configuration page. Now the issue was with the access not related to the tag. Now we need to focus only on the access part. So here on the image and tag, this is perfect. Now we need to find out the credential what I have used. So I have used Docker Hub. This is fine. Okay, so I have missed to specify my registry URL. By default, it will use this repository, but still it is failed to push my image. So I will specify my image repository manually. Click on save and re-trigger the build. Click on the console output. So the image is successfully tagged to this version and it is trying to pushing the image, and finally it is success. So we have successfully installed a plugin to build our Docker image and push it to image repository. This is what our request for now. So similarly, we need to explore more plugins based on our requirement to perform the automation. For my task, I have chosen the plugin called Docker Build Step. Similarly, I had more plugins, but I have chosen one. Why? Because the plugin I choose, it should support my task. And some plugins, I will not have much options. So we need to choose the right plugin. We need to be familiar with these configurations. So this is why we use plugins on our Jenkins to integrate multiple tools and services to perform our automations. That's it for this video. Hope you've got an idea what is Jenkins plugins and why do we use it. See you in the next video. Till then, keep practicing and have fun.
How did you feel? Is it helpful? Appreciate our efforts in the comment section below. Hit like button, share with your friends about us, subscribe our channel to get further updates. Stay connected with us on social networking sites. For more free tutorials, visit our website www.lanetiguide.net.